Bendiciones.
Hello.
Hey, people. Thank you so much for joining us today. And it is the full moon in Sagittarius, and it is an amazing, potent, intense, insightful journey. And I'm really grateful to be on it. As you see our title, it says, "And the journey continues." And it so continues, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
You know, I mean, like, how your week of the full moon has been so far?
It has been really interesting. A lot of self-reflections on what my ideas were on where I should be and what I should be doing. And as the sun is shining in on us, it is really shining in and reflecting a lot of our steps, my steps in particular, of where I think I should be at this time and where I would like to be, from working out of a place of what my passions are and my mission is, and the ideas of what we think versus what's actually being shown to us in this journey. So it's been interesting sitting here and really seeing that light shining in on our path and clearing away some of these things that we think that are really what is serving us, and what it is, it's really more of a block and more of a misconception. So that's a lot of what this moon is about. What about you, Kat?
Oh man, it's been pretty potent. I've been in a meditation retreat the past 2 weeks, and it's been a lot of reflection, a lot of sitting, looking at things, and it totally brings me into a space of really needing to like sit and look at the depths and the layers that comes up, the triggers that comes up, and then also releasing the old stories or even the old habits. And I know we've been kind of talking about that a lot the past talks that we had so far, because there's like so much that we're wanting to bring into our lives, into our journey, into our purpose of what we're wanting to do. And the reason we called it Empowerment Series is because we want to be in our power and also ripple effect, so that we are shining our light, we're shining our love, our compassion, our peace, our joy. And so for us to reach that point, to reach that level, we need to arrive in a place of feeling in peace of where our journey has brought us to at this point. And for us to reach that peace is to really let go, is to really let go the stuff that comes into our space and kind of realize, is it time? Am I holding and gripping these things because I'm so comfortable with it? The way how I view life, the way how I have a relationship, the way how I communicate, the way of me receiving a certain income, like, am I holding on to this idea, illusion? And if we're holding on to it, how are we actually giving space for spirit to come in? How are we actually giving space for new things to come in? So that's been showing up a lot for me. And it's been pretty potent, and it has already shifted so much. And I've been really looking at it through a lens of like, okay, this is the next step. And granted, it would be nice for the other party to kind of do their part, but if they don't do their part, that means I'm still holding on to whatever is there. So I want to free myself from any burdens. I want to free myself and feel free and feel in balance and feel, being able to thrive, because I'm choosing to thrive and choosing to be in peace and in love with life and to be in my power to share. Because when we look at our life and the relationships we have and the connections we have with people and our work that we do, if there's things lingering around us that are not in sync, that are not in balance, it's going to show up in our life some way, somehow. You know, it's going to show up through people triggering us, and it could be from like a car cutting you off, and it's so intense, and you're like, bah, you know, and it brings up something that's not love, that is not peace, that is not compassion, and it's not truth. So it brings stuff up so that we can look at it and to let it go, you know. And so there is a lot about letting go, a lot of old stories, so that we can start a new path and be liberated. You know, be liberated from the old ways of how we are looking at things, and being renewed, and being able to master our truth, you know, and being able to master who we are and our power. And I know it's been a very potent time, and just in general, this first 6 months of the year, you know, there's been a lot of transformation that's been happening. And it's beautiful, intense. And when it's intense, sometimes, you know, I feel like I forget of, you know, I'm on this journey of growth, you know, this soul growth. And then I'm like, oh my God, why am I going through this experience? But then, you know, it's actually real. And then it's really good that we go through those intense areas of our life, because it's shedding stuff. We're shedding, and we're like moving all these veils, all these illusions, all these things out of our space and out of our energy, so we can vibrate in a such much higher frequency, a much higher vibration, a much higher like place from our heart. So yeah, so that's where I kind of been at. Bit of a long one, but
I recently have been through a really challenging time where this week I felt really triggered by some of the things that were happening around me in my immediate space, interactions, and you know, this ideal of this is how something should be and this is how it should look, because you know, because we work out of a place of higher integrity, we put that on ourselves, and so therefore we have this idea that should be how everybody is, and that's how everybody should reside, and that's not the reality of what it is. And so I found myself recently being wrapped around this ideal of, you know, of that what I have just spoken of, and feeling very triggered, and feeling like I was feeling kind of trapped in this situation. And what am I going to do about this? And so, being as that I could not necessarily, you know, leave the situation or do something else, I basically looked at it from a very quiet, reflective perspective, because there was not a way that I could share it. And then I came home, and I realized when I landed in my home that it was my sanctuary. And I have my home set up in such a way where it is a haven for me. It is a place where I can land when the things around me, when the situation around me is very intense, and I'm feeling challenged and I'm feeling triggered by my own ideals and the ideals that have been instilled in me in my perhaps workplace, or perhaps my relationships with my friends or my family, because of the way I was raised, because of, you know, what I learned in school, what I learned in my preceptorship, or what I've learned from my teachers. And it's all well-meaning and well-intended, but at the end of the day, you know, like coming back to my center, and it's human to feel triggered. It's okay to feel triggered. If we don't feel triggered, and if we don't feel these levels of intensity, then we've lost the humanness of who we really are, and where our power is that we stand. And so just because we're off center for a minute does not mean that we've messed up somehow. All it means is, like, you know, okay, this is what happened. This is how I reacted. And I reacted in a way of feeling emotional because I'm an emotional person and I'm very sensitive. And so I realized those things in myself. So what did I do? I stepped out of the situation. I gave myself time to breathe. And how I did that, I went outside, physically outside. I breathed in some air. I was around some trees. I looked up at the sky. And I realized that I am a small thing. Even though I'm big, I'm small. And when you look at the grandeur of what it is to be in this universe and be on this earth, what happens of those things that trigger us are really a speck in the ocean of what is our world and the world that we reside in all together and the world that we share. And so I was able to go home, and I have a friend visiting here, and she made me this wonderful dinner and reminded me of my purpose in her own special gifted way. And you know, I was reminded of how supported that I really am. And I was able to let those layers of what triggered me just fade into the night. And that's how I dealt with a recent trigger. And I feel that right now in this moment, as I look through how this moon is affecting us, some tips that I just shared, I took some time to regroup. So I'm going to recap that for you. I felt triggered. I felt emotional. And this moon is very powerful because it's a strawberry moon. It's doing all these beautiful things in the wake of our life. And so what I was able to do in that moment, I was able to regroup, which I did. I stepped outside, took some breath of fresh air. I realized my place in this existence. I took charge of taking charge of your life. So taking charge of my life, I have somewhere to go at the end of the day. I have my home. I have my haven. I prepare myself a good meal. I get nourished, like with food as medicine. And then I was able to get some rest. I was able to liberate myself from what I felt was an unfair situation, what was my perspective. And how I liberated myself was I let it go. I just let the story go. And that is part of this liberation, moon of liberation. You know, you can physically and mentally and spiritually liberate yourself. I mean, you don't have to buy what people are telling you. I mean, you can, and that could be your story, but that would be your choice. So, liberating yourself from the unfair situation that causes unbalanced, environment for you. Is it unnourishing, and how is it demanding on your life? So when you examine all those things, and you actually fill in the blank of whatever that means to you, at that point you'll be able to get a clearer picture of how you can liberate yourself. Because if you're filling in the blank and saying, oh, it made me feel like this, oh, I was unable to do that, oh, I was made to feel this way, well, that right there is powerful, because then you're examining how that's a particular situation or your set of circumstances in your own life is restricting you from actually being in your fullest power. So it's only until we give up those things that our power is taken away. So whether we're with a partner and we've lowered our vibration to be with a partner, or they've, or you've increased, or whatever it is, it's like a piece of yourself that you're giving away for what purpose? So, in liberating yourself, you can regain that power. You can regain that sense of balance where you've lost it. So I'd like to turn this over to the cat and see what her insights and awarenesses are, and then we'll continue to share.
Okay, so let's see. So that was a lot. That was really deep and real, because I totally resonate on all those levels. And I think when what you were mentioning of, coming back to your ritual, coming back to your practice, to come back home, not just your physical home, your sanctuary, but also come back home into your heart, into your space, and be like, all right, hold on. yes, this stuff is coming up for me to look at. And yes, this thing is like totally turning my mind, my space, my trust, like it's totally triggering it. But as soon as we go back to our rituals, and it's our sacred rituals that, our prayer, our meditation, our yoga practice, our food that is so, medicine for us, we're able to kind of check back in. And this is where, is one of the questions that we put on there was like, how can we really be able to continue on our journey when we're on those intense obstacles in our life? When it feels like, excuse me, but shit's hitting the fan, things is really coming down for us, and it feels like, what am I freaking doing? Mm-hmm. Am I even on the right path? Am I even in the right relationship, in the right job, in the right community, in the right home? We in the right state, mm-hmm. and even the right state of mind. Mm-hmm. And so I know I've had those questions a number of times in different ways. And it does come back to coming back to your spirit and to your practice and to your meditation. And it's really important. It's so powerful because, we spoke about prayer and we speak about prayer a lot. And I feel like prayer is such a very important key and tool for our lives. And it comes back to what our true beliefs are, because we have our beliefs and then we have our habits. We have something that, our habits are being broken because things aren't aligning the way how we like it. And so we're being shaped a different way of like, nope, you can't do this anymore this way because that's it. And like, what? I've been comfortable relating this way. I've been comfortable and working this way. I've been comfortable doing this way. Mm-hmm. It's like our expectations, our assumptions, our habits are now shifting in our life, mm-hmm. to give us an opportunity to evolve, to give us an opportunity to look at more of a bigger picture and to really see and have another perspective of how our beliefs and our truths and our purpose is showing up in our life. And I feel like that's really important for us, because through us realizing that, we are being empowered. We are coming into a space where we're like, all right, this is my role as a human in this life. Mm-hmm. And remembering that we are spirit, and we are filled with such, compassion and filled with so much truth and medicine, and when it comes down to that, like, I would love to, like, in exchange, like, for you and I, like, what we've been doing, like, we realize that, we can't do this work alone. Everything that we're doing, from helping people and even helping ourselves, like how you mentioned, coming to your home and you have a friend visiting and how she cooks you a meal, how good that felt.
Yeah.
And that's like, mm-hmm. our relationships with community.
Yeah.
And our relationship with one another, with our friends, with our families. It's like so, so important. And it's like, how can we continue having a good balance of our relationships with the humans in our life?
Yeah. Yeah, because, I was mentioning this to a client that I was working with this week. And, some of the things that I was reminded of, and, when I think back when I was a young girl growing up with Latin parents, my mother's Colombian and my father is Cuban. And one of the things that is very, very constant and very similar in Latin cultures, and I know a lot of cultures, not just Latin cultures, is the sense of community, and that we have large families and that everybody helps each other. And, I know that some of my family in Colombia, what I remember as a child, as they grew, they lived in these huge houses, and they were kind of like 4 stories high, and they had their own little apartments, and all the families, like all of my cousins and aunts and uncles and abuelitas and abuelitos and tios and tias, they all lived in the same dwelling, and they helped each other out financially and take turn preparing meals, and like they took care of the kids, and then people would come and visit, and then we have somewhere to. And so, I was sharing not necessarily that part of the story, but the part of the story that I was sharing with my client earlier this week was that sense of communal and tribal living in the Amazon and in South America in particular amongst the tribes, and how tribes live for so long, and they exist for so many years, for decades, for centuries, and how is it that they survive, and why, and we know why they're dying out, because of the diseases and the advancements of technology, unfortunately, and then the white man comes and because of our diseases, they bring them over, but prior to all of that, and how these tribes have survived, is the fact that it's communal living. You have a healer in the community, you have the chief, you have the children and the women and the this, and when somebody got sick or somebody was struggling, that somebody else in the community would come and provide healing, or provide, would help with the house and the chores, would help with the kids, and would hunt and gather and prepare a meal. And, when one was not doing so good, then everybody would come together as a community. And I think that model has been lost, especially in this country, from my perspective, from what I've seen. And fortunately, in some of the communities that some of us live, we do have a sense of like, where's my community, and here's some of my people, and when something's going on, then we reach out and we do our best to try to help and assist. And so as I was helping this client, I was reminding them that they have a community, and that there are people coming to their aid, and that that they're not alone. That's the whole point of me saying this, is that we're not alone. And how can we support each other? And it may not be financial support, but their support comes in so many different ways. And so whatever that means to you, and whatever most is what drives you to offer that for that individual, is the beauty of being human, and the beauty of loving your brother and your sister. And so, it's during these times that are really challenging that's so important. And I feel very grateful for the support I have from all ends, and the fact that I can sit here and share these experiences with whoever this may resonate with. That I think that's beautiful, and I'm grateful that this moon has been able to shine some light on some of those dark places. And one of the other things that came up was that so when we do feel overwhelmed, or we have that feeling of like feeling bogged down, or like I'm trapped in this situation, or I'm trapped in this idea, whatever it is that we are trapped around, like this is a time that this moon can help us shift our awareness to what that is, as Kat was saying. I'm like, this is in my space. Like, why is this in my space? And is it a story that I've built around all these things that I've been doing? Or is it a story that's new, that is trying to make stick into my space, that really doesn't serve? So I think that, everything, that's going on with us is really a testament to that, and like, how can we pull out of that? So that's kind of what this moon has given us an opportunity to do. Like, how can we pull out of that place of feeling trapped, or feeling like we're not sustained, or we're not supported, or we're not making enough money, when in fact we have everything we need, like right now. Mm-hmm. So
definitely. Mm-hmm. And actually, on the note of how serious this all sounds, I know the full moon is also tapping into Saturn. So Saturn is very serious, very direct, very karmic. And so it brings a lot of karma stuff, a lot of stuff that we need to resolve and look at. So things are being cleared so we can move forward. And so on the note on community, I know there's actually people out there that doesn't have community and that doesn't have people that they can rely on and sit back on. And I think that is a bit difficult for us to speak on it, because it's, sometimes we are very independent, and that's how we learn to grow up in this world too, is like needing to, all right, like you strive for yourself, you work for yourself, and it's all about you needing to reach your goal, and it's like no one's part of it, because it's only you. But if, for example, to kind of talk on that level of like, if you don't have friends, if you don't have family, if you don't have a connection, what is it that we can do when it comes down to situations like that? What is it that, all right, I'm in that situation, I don't have anyone. And when I kind of feel that out, because I've been a very, very independent person, and I left home pretty young. And so I know I've actually journeyed of needing to break old habits of being on my own, and being okay to reach out or make connections. And it was so hard. So hard. And the reason why I'm making this a really important step forward is because this is being empowered. This is us taking a step into wanting to get more involved and seeing our lives not just as an individual person, seeing our lives as in connection with humanity, with the people that exist around us. And so, yeah, we're going to be breaking through those old patterns, those old habits. And like, no, I'm an introvert. I stick to myself. I can't deal with life. I can't do it. I have my job. For my job, I get home. I have my pets. I have my cat. I have my dog. That's my life.
Yeah.
And, if we're going to continue to think that way, how exactly are we moving forward to evolve so that we can be more in our path and our truth? Because our path and our truth does involve more of a connection with humanity, more of a connection in our spirit realm. Because spirit, is not just one, For this earth to be created, it involves many elements. Fire, ether, air, water, earth. There's not just one that makes the earth. It's not just water that makes the earth. It's not just, it's not just fire. It's all of the elements. It's the sun that shines upon the plants so that we can grow, So we need to break out of this habit that we may have, or this pattern, or this way of seeing things, and just, it's going to be hard. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. And I know there's a lot of construction that is happening right now as we talk. It's interesting if we're talking about breaking old patterns and breaking old ways and letting go and allowing a new shape to come in, a new way how we're going to be looking at life. And so just to kind of go down our bullet points that we mentioned in our event was that we kind of covered going through like the obstacles. What is it that we can survive through the obstacles? And what are the old stories? What are the old stories that is like repeating in your mind? I'm like, all right, am I attached to these old ways of thinking? And that's a good question. Meditate with it. Sit with it. Am I attached? And the next question, I believe, of the triggers. We spoke a lot about the triggers that comes up for us. Because the triggers are there, again, to just help surface things so we can let it go. Someone came into my life a few months ago, and man, did this person bring up so many triggers for me to look at. But the last thing I did was point the finger at this person. I was actually really, really, really grateful of this person coming into my life, because this person was helping me look at stuff that was lingering and that I needed to leave and purge and like let it go out of my space, So if it wasn't for this human being coming in, I'm pretty sure, and I'm positive, the universe, spirit, God will make sure it will come in some other form or way. But I if I would have been like, oh my God, this person's triggering me, let me let this person go, I'm cutting them off, then the universe would like, what? You got to work on this stuff. So we're going to have to bring someone else in your life to bring this stuff up, you know? And so for me, I didn't go in my old habits. I didn't go in my old patterns. And my pattern was always, as soon as something triggered me, as soon as something felt wrong or not right, I cut them off, you know? And I finally, through these past few months, I was like, no, I'm facing it. No, I'm looking at it, okay? I'm not going to cut it off because I'm seeing that this person is playing a role in my life.
Right.
To bring up stuff for me to look at. And so when triggers come up, give yourself a chance to sit back and to see and to look and how deep it is for you, you know? And if they're causing you harm, okay, that's a different story, you know? And if it's something that is totally like abusive, totally different story. But it is also a trigger, but like, you know, if someone is being abusive, you come in your power, you come into your voice. You be like, no, that's it. I'm not letting someone take over my power. So it's a lot of things that will come up. And, you know, the point of this series, like, please comment. And if there's things that come up when we move forward in general in our future series, we can talk about these specific topics because they're big. You know, this is life. You know, life is an ongoing journey. So
if you don't want to share a question, or if there's something that's want to maintain more of a privacy, you can send us a private message to our Facebook page at Love and Awareness Purpose, and one of us will answer for you. You also don't forget about our website, loveandawarennesspurpose.net. We have a lot of great information. We offer a lot of really great services. Kat is a hypnotherapist, holistic Ayurvedic practitioner. Does a lot of really good work. And she does also distance assistance. I do Ayurvedic practitioner, shamanic counseling work as well. But our listed services are there. And if you want to hear more and want to get involved with us, we would love to be of service to you. So happy full moon. And Kat has got a few more things.
Can't think of it right now. Be in your truth. Okay, that's what matters. Be in your voice, be in your heart, you know, be in that space, because that's where our power lies. And if you feel unsettled, stop, pause, meditate, sit on the grass, go into nature, you know, gaze into a candle, you know. I know we didn't say much about practices, but that's kind of like the main practice here is your meditation practice, your movement practice, your yoga practice. Just come back into your center, come back home, right? Coming back home to your space. And if you're feeling ungrounded, drink some nice ginger tea. I know on our our Facebook page does have a Spanish version of how to make ginger chai. So, but you'll see the ingredients there in case you are called to connect with that. And thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that, you know, if you want to journey further or have any specific topics, these series are meant in the intentions of being in service and to be sharing our insights, our medicine, and our truth, because we know we're not on this journey alone. You know, we're on this journey together. And I'm so grateful to have mi hermana here. You know, and it's been a very beautiful, powerful journey to this point, and even ongoing, and I know it's going to continue to unfold. So much love and blessings. Bendiciones. Thank you so much, and
Ciao.
Have a lovely weekend and week, and see you new moon.